Laws are meant to keep society in order, but some rules around the world are so strange, unexpected, or downright bizarre that they leave people scratching their heads. From banning common activities to enforcing unusual restrictions, these laws might sound like jokes, but they are very real and strictly enforced. Today, we're diving into 10 bizarre laws that only exist in certain countries, where we'll explore some of the weirdest legal restrictions you might encounter while traveling. Stay until the end to find out about a law that could fine you just for running out of gas. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon for more amazing travel and world culture content. 10. France. It's illegal to name your pig Napoleon. France has a long history of strict respect laws relating to its leaders, and one of the strangest is the supposed ban on naming a pig Napoleon. Yes, Napoleon. While this law is often thought to be a joke, it originated from an old regulation that aimed to prevent public disrespect toward the nation's historical figures. Since Napoleon Bonaparte is one of France's most iconic rulers, associating his name with a farm animal was considered an insult. Although the law is rarely enforced today, it still exists in legal discussions. Some historians believe that it was once strictly applied, particularly during times when Napoleon's legacy was highly regarded. Interestingly, George Orwell's novel Animal Farm features a pig named, yes, you've guessed it, Napoleon, and while the book was not banned in France, it did spark debates about whether the law should be taken seriously. While it's unlikely anyone would get fined today for breaking this law, it remains one of France's strangest legal remnants. 9. China. Reincarnation without government approval is forbidden. China's law on reincarnation might sound like something out of a fantasy novel, but it is very real. Since 2007, Tibetan Buddhist monks have been required to obtain government approval before reincarnating. This unusual regulation is primarily aimed at controlling the selection of the Dalai Lama, one of the most influential religious and political figures in Tibet. The law requires monasteries to submit formal requests for permission before recognizing a monk's reincarnation. While this might seem, a touch bizarre, the Chinese government introduced the rule as part of its strategy to regulate religious leadership in Tibet. By controlling the reincarnation process, the authorities attempt to weaken the influence of the Dalai Lama, who has historically been at odds with Beijing. For many Tibetans, this law is viewed as an attack on their religious freedom. Meanwhile, the global Buddhist community continues to debate whether the Chinese government should have any say in matters of spiritual rebirth. 8. Western Australia. Possessing more than 50 kilograms of potatoes is illegal. Believe it or not, if you live in Western Australia, carrying more than 50 kilograms of potatoes could, technically get you into legal trouble. This bizarre rule dates back to the 1946 Potato Marketing Act, which was introduced to regulate the potato industry and prevent black market trading during post-war food shortages. Fake potatoes? The law allowed government inspectors to seize excess potatoes and fine offenders who carried more than the allowed amount. Although the reason for this restriction no longer applies, the law was never fully repealed, meaning it still technically exists today. While modern enforcement is rare, the Potato Marketing Corporation of Western Australia still oversees potato production in some capacity. Farmers and traders in the region once had to follow strict distribution rules, but today the law mostly remains a historical curiosity rather than a real legal threat. 7. Switzerland. No flushing toilets after 10 p.m. in some apartments. Switzerland is known for its strict noise regulations, but one of the most unusual rules affects apartment residents. In certain buildings, tenants are banned from flushing their toilets after 10 p.m. to avoid disturbing their neighbours. The law is part of Switzerland's obsession with maintaining peace and quiet, especially in older apartment complexes where thin walls make sound travel easily. Some landlords even include this rule in rental agreements, ensuring that tenants comply with strict nighttime noise restrictions. While the law is rarely enforced by authorities, there have been cases where neighbours have reported disturbances caused by late-night flushing. In some buildings, other noisy activities like showering, vacuuming or running washing machines are also discouraged after a certain hour. Well, what about breaking wind? For tourists or expats unfamiliar with Swiss living rules, this law can come as a surprise. However, it reflects the country's deep respect for personal space and quiet living. Six, Thailand. Stepping on money is a crime. In Thailand, stepping on or defacing money is considered a serious offence. The reason? Thai currency features an image of the king, and damaging it in any way is viewed as an act of disrespect against the monarchy. The Thai royal family is deeply revered, and insulting the king is a punishable crime under Thailand's strict lèse-majesté laws. Accidentally stepping on a banknote or coin might seem harmless, but in Thailand it can result in serious legal consequences, including jail time. Tourists visiting Thailand should be especially cautious, as even unintentional disrespect toward the monarchy can be met with severe punishment. Stories of foreigners being fined or detained for unknowingly breaking this rule have circulated in travel forums, serving as a warning for visitors. This law is a reflection of how cultural values and legal systems can be deeply intertwined, making it one of the most unusual and strictly enforced regulations in the world. Five, Germany. Running out of gas on the autobahn is illegal. Germany's autobahn is famous for its stretches of highway with no speed limits, allowing cars to travel at extremely high speeds. However, stopping on the autobahn for anything other than an emergency is strictly illegal, including running out of gas. The reason for this law is safety, since vehicles on the autobahn often travel at speeds exceeding 150 km an hour. A stopped car can pose a serious hazard. Authorities consider running out of fuel to be a preventable situation, meaning that if a driver fails to refuel and causes a stoppage, they may face a fine and points on their license. If a driver genuinely experiences a mechanical failure, they are expected to move the car off the road immediately and use an emergency phone to call for assistance. Visitors driving in Germany should always keep an eye on their fuel gauge to avoid breaking this strict and unusual law. 4. Canada. Apologizing can be used as evidence. Canadians are famous for being polite, but did you know that in some parts of Canada, saying sorry can be legally interpreted as an admission of guilt? This issue became so common that the government had to pass the Apology Act of 2009 to prevent simple apologies from being used as legal confessions. Before this law, courts could view an apology as an admission of liability, which caused problems in car accidents, workplace disputes, and medical cases. Now, under the Apology Act, a person can say sorry without it being legally taken as an admission of fault. Despite this legal protection, many Canadians still apologize excessively out of habit, making this one of the most culturally unique laws in the world. If you're ever in Canada and someone apologizes to you, it might not mean they're guilty, it's just part of their nature. Sorry. 3. It's Venice, Italy. Feeding pigeons is illegal. For centuries, Venice's St. Mark's Square was famous for its enormous flocks of pigeons, with tourists feeding them as part of the local experience. However, since 2008, feeding pigeons in Venice has been illegal, with fines reaching up to €700. The law was introduced because pigeon droppings were damaging historic buildings, statues, and landmarks. Pigeons were also becoming a health hazard, as their increasing numbers led to unsanitary conditions in public spaces. Today, visitors are discouraged from bringing food near pigeons, and city officials work to control their population. However, some tourists still attempt to feed them, unaware of the strict ban. The Venetian government hopes that this law will help preserve the city's ancient architecture and protect its status as one of the most beautiful places in the world. Two, Japan, the Metabo Law, obesity law. Japan is known for its high life expectancy and healthy lifestyle, but in 2008, the government introduced a controversial law that directly regulates waistlines. Under the Metabo law, companies are required to measure the waist size of employees over 40 years old, with strict limits on what is considered acceptable. Men with waists over 33.5 inches and women over 35.4 inches are encouraged to undergo mandatory health counseling and diet programs. If a company has too many overweight employees, they may be fined by the government for failing to meet health targets. This law is part of Japan's effort to reduce obesity-related health costs and promote a healthier population. While some see it as a progressive public health policy, others argue that it infringes on personal freedom and creates pressure to conform to strict body standards. One, Singapore, the chewing gum ban. Singapore is known for its strict cleanliness laws, but one of the most famous and unusual bans is on chewing gum. Since 1992, it has been illegal to sell or import chewing gum, with violators facing heavy fines and even jail time. This law was introduced after authorities struggled with gum littering, especially in public spaces and train stations. Vandals used chewing gum to jam subway doors and deface public property, leading the government to completely outlaw it. The only exception is medicinal gum for nicotine replacement therapy, which can be purchased with a prescription. While many visitors find this rule surprising, it has helped keep Singapore's streets incredibly clean. The country is famous for its harsh but effective laws, and the chewing gum ban remains one of the most well-known examples of its strict approach to public order. From banning chewing gum to outlawing pigeon feeding, these bizarre laws show just how unique legal systems can be around the world. Some of these rules exist to preserve culture, maintain order, or ensure public safety, while others seem almost too strange to believe. Which of these bizarre laws surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on more amazing travel and culture content. See you in the next video.